Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Diaries.
I was watching a lot of cartoons at that time, so I think I briefly thought about becoming Superman or something like that, and then realized that it's not real. So later on, I thought about being into medical profession, and my sister at that point was a great inspiration to me. She was elder to me by 12 years, and my elder sister was 17 years elder to me. And they were both into computers, and that's where I started my journey as well, that being a computer engineer is something that I would probably like to do, and I was very interested in maths at that point, so it sort of gelled well together. So that was also a happy accident, I would say, more than anything else. So I was working with Asian Paints before, and I had finished my management education in IIT Bombay and moved to Asian Paints. I had done a lot of amazing things there, and I was at a mid-management level at that point in a very large company, and this interesting opportunity came up in another city, and simultaneously my wife also had a very interesting opportunity come up for her side, again in the same city, and we just thought, let's go for it, and very happy that it all gelled well together, and that's how I became a CIO, and the kind of learnings that I got by being the number one in technology for a company as big as Cosmo First has been nothing sort of spectacular. So I read Matthew Perry's memoir recently. Friends was something, again, a bit of a craze for me during my late school and early college days, and to really go through his experiences in his own mind and the way they came out for me on the screen was just a completely different narrative altogether. So for example, I always thought that maybe Matthew was working out a lot, and that's why he suddenly became very thin from one season to the other in Friends. And then I realized from his book that he was heavily into narcotics, and that's how, so he was undergoing a different experience altogether, and it came out differently for me when I saw it. So a lot of learnings from there as well as to perception and what life can bring to you. So I'm a Beatle maniac. Doesn't look like it with my age, but I got introduced to the Beatles during my college years, and I just listened to every song, read the background behind every song, went deep behind the lyrics for every song, and the entire Beatles catalog is just in my mind, if you were to call it that. So I listen to a lot of music, but Beatles hold a special place in my heart. I also like to read a lot of books, so that's mostly what I do. More recently, I have a son named Jagannath, so I also spend a lot of time playing with him, and that also gives me a lot of joy. Me and my wife have a lovely time doing that. So I would say one answer for both, because it has both merits and demerits. So in my earlier roles, it was a complete focus on one single area, and complete dedication towards that area to move the needle forward there. In a CIO role, you have to wear multiple hats at different points of time during the same day, and in my case, because of the multiple businesses involved, the same hat itself has varied colors during the same day. So these are all very motivating experiences for me, but also at the same time, there's a lot of hectic nature that comes into doing that. Certain cases that might interrupt with your family time, for example. So I'm still learning to manage that entire piece, but the entire motivation behind doing multiple things at the same time and working with different team members of extreme talent and the kind of businesses that we are involved in, that keeps me motivated and keep doing the same things. My biggest investment, I think I'd probably say my marriage. So I think I've been blessed with the sort of relationship that I have with my wife and the joy that it brings to me every day. And with my son also being born recently, the entire ecosystem, the family ecosystem is something that I derive so much happiness out of. So I would say that is the biggest investment. My biggest dream is to sort of settle in the Himalayas and write my own book, or play some of my own music, or maybe even imitate Paul McCartney on the song The Rain. Certain things that I'm trying to learn, like the guitar, but the kind of skill sets that they have is something that I want to try on my own at some point in my life.
Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Diaries.